Now, the PowerPoint titled Chapter 7 Part 2 mainly has pictures that we have gone over in the lab, but there are some parts that could be asked on your lecture exam. For example, zygomatic arch. Know that it's the bridge between the zygomatic and the temporal bones. Fontanelle means a soft spot on the infant skull. So this is where the bone has not fully finished developing yet. So it's still that primitive connective tissue, or the mesenchyme. Lordosis means an extreme lumbar curve. Kyphosis, also known as kurtosis, means an extreme thoracic curve. This looks like a hunchback. Scoliosis is an abnormal lateral curve. Know the numbers for the main vertebra types. There are 7 cervical vertebrae, 12 thoracic vertebrae, and 5 lumbar vertebrae. You may want to pause this to write these down. Know that all cervical vertebrae have transverse foramina. So these are the holes on the sides of the vertebra. These holes are important because the vertebral artery goes through them on each side. All thoracic vertebrae have costal facets. Costal means rib. Facet just means a spot where something connects. Well, so these are for rib attachment. Lumbar vertebrae are the widest, the thickest vertebrae. We have 12 pairs of ribs. Now, some people may have an extra rib, but it is rare. True ribs are the top 7 pairs. These have their own cartilage to attach to the sternum. With false ribs, the two types, they're vertebrochondral and floating. And so within the false ribs, vertebrochondral ribs share their cartilage. These are 8 through 10. Floating ribs, the last 2 pairs, have no cartilage, and so they're not attaching to the sternum. False pelvis is the upper part of the pelvis. This is in the region of the ilia. True pelvis is the lower part of the pelvis. This is in the region of the lower part of the ilia, but also in the regions of the ischium and the pubis. In the female pelvis versus the male pelvis, the iliac bones are more flared, meaning more separated when you compare it to the male pelvis. The true pelvis, so that inside part, pelvic cavity, is much wider than the male pelvis. Pubic arch is wider, and there's more distance between the ischial spines and the tuberosities. So all these factors are more narrowed in the male pelvis.